All right, today I'm gonna go over how to draw a fish. So we're not gonna really worry about any of the shading or the scales right now, but we're just gonna be concerned with the outside shape of it and the inside details, like the fin and the gills and those kinds of things. So when we look at this, it does look like a lot, especially if you count in the scales. Like you're like, holy cow, how am I gonna do this? But we need to just stop, take a breath, and really break it down. So for me, it's easier for me if I were to start like with this line here and keep going. Don't worry about these guys here. And you could even just go the whole thing, right? Don't worry about the fins, we can add them on. So for me, it'll be easier if I start that way, and then I can come back and like make the mouth and really break it down. So this is one big line, but I don't know about you, but I can't hold that big line the whole time. So if I draw, and I'll probably turn my page because my hand is really cocked right now, but you're gonna like, I would draw this part here, and then I would draw this part, and then I would come and draw this part, and then I would draw this. So really break it down into these little steps and go from there. So I'm gonna be moving the picture back and forth because you won't be able to see my drawing if I keep it on here, and I won't be able to draw. So I am going to turn this a little sideways here. Hopefully you can see it. I'll try to keep it in screen. It's just gonna be a little bit easier to work going down towards yourself. It's easier to move your arm that way instead of like across your body, right? So we're gonna do that at first. So I can see that the mouth part here is not that close, right? This is much closer. So I need to make sure that it's a little bit farther away from the edge of my paper so that I don't get it to the point where I can't fit my fish on. All right, so we're gonna start probably here, and then it's sort of a straightish line, and then come up. And again, just sort of taking it slow. Like this might be too much of a slope here for the fish's body. And then I think I curved it too soon, because if we have the tail, I just gotta, oh, can you guys even see? Sorry about that. So I gotta curve it here. It's gotta be up actually. Oh, I see. Okay, so it does come here and curves, and then it comes down, and then it curves. Okay, so I'm gonna move this so that you can see what I'm doing. So I did here, I was looking at the fish's body, and this I think is a little too extreme, so I'm gonna have to come in and like make that a little bit less. And then it comes up, but it does slope down a little bit more than it does in the front here, and then it will curve up. So another thing I like to do to get my angles right is I'll put my pencil down here and then sort of try to keep the same angle. So that's pretty good there. So I want to come back in here, and I can see like the curve that I did is way too, it's not gentle enough, right? Because this curve here, and maybe this means that this needs to come up more, which very well could happen, because if we look at this tail, look at how much higher it is than here. So I need to go up way, right? It needs to be a lot higher. So if I go straight across, that's much better. So that tail needs to go up there, which then gives me room to have more of a gentle curve, okay? I'm gonna come in here and erase some of this stuff because it's starting to get confusing on what I want and what I need here. There we go. So if I have my fin up here, and then I have this nice gentle curve right here, and then here's where my one fin would be. It sort of comes up a little bit here to connect to the fin, and then it comes, oh, see, like now I'm looking, it needs to be a little bit straighter. This is a little bit more of a straighter line than a curve. And again, start off and then modify, right? So this is going to come up here, and this is gonna be a little bit straighter. And I think I may have made, I'm gonna bring this out a little bit more. So again, checking my angles, and it does need to come up a little bit more. That might help with the way it looks here. So starting out, getting something on the page, and then going back and modifying it. And you can see I'm very sketchy. And the reason why I do that a lot of the times is because then I can erase. If I go like one line and I try to do it perfect, I will press harder, and then it doesn't work so much for me. So That's why I do it that way. All right, so we're gonna continue with, let's see here. What do I wanna do next? I think I'm gonna do the mouth next. So the mouth we see is like a nice little curve here. Actually, let's do the tail because then I can see how big the mouth really needs to be, right? So I'm gonna do the tail, come over here. So I already made part of it going up. So we're gonna curve it. And realistically, it doesn't curve too much and it's not very long. Looks like this needs to come out more. If I see, look at that. It does come out farther than that. So maybe this needs to come in a little bit more and this needs to go out a little bit more. There we go. And then I made too much of a thing there, right? It was too there. That looks better. It's a little bit more gradual. And then it sort of just comes like straight this way, right? And let's see here. It does end up being around that curve. So if I make that line there, then it helps me sort of figure out. It has just a really nice gentle curve coming up a little bit more on this back end here. And then from here, move it up a little bit so you guys can see. From here, then it has a nice angle down, and it does start in here. If we look, like this fish here, so the fin connects down here. So we want to try to keep this angle that's going on here, and it goes up into here a little bit. And again, I'm going to ignore this bottom fin here, but it is quite an angle, so I need to keep with this angle, and it really doesn't curve in till like around where I think that other fin is going to be, so around here. So we're going to continue to go down, and then when I get here, I can sort of start coming across, because really it's just a really nice, and it goes all the way over here, just a little bit in. So if I do a little bit in, so I'm close, goes all the way here. And then here comes the mouth, like this. Okay, so I'm not saying that's perfect, because if we look here, it does come down, and then it's sort of, it has like a little bit of a curve where that fin is, just like that. But we can come back and fix that when we add those fins on. So if I do the mouth, I know it starts here, so this really just curves and comes straight down. So it's gonna curve and come straight down. And then it does have this part here that it connects to. And that looks okay, but I can tell, see how there's an angle there and I didn't have an angle, so I've got to bring this up a little bit and angle it a little bit more. Like that. That looks better. If I'd angle, oh, even more? Oops, sorry, bonked it. Oh no, that looks okay. All right, and then this, if we come here, has a nice curve to it, but sort of like at an angle like that. And it does come down and connects here. So if I have it round this a little bit, then I know where to sort of connect these two. There we go. And then it does have like a little lip on it, so you got to add that. Doesn't look too bad, right? So now we can sort of come back in and refine, get our fins right, those kinds of things. So I am going to do the gills first, because then I can tell where I need to put all my other fins. It really helps to do that inside part, and then I can get the other fins on there. So if I have it like this, and then if the gills come from down here and go up, so if I come from down here and go like this, and again, check my angle, and come up here, and it goes almost all the way up to the top. So I gotta come up a little bit more here, and then I can sort of make that little part there, and then we've got these little lines in here that we can add in for right now, but it doesn't have to be too much. All right, so then that really helps me figure out where the fins are. So if I go straight up from this gill, I know there's a fin in front of it, straight up. So there's these like spiky guys here. And again, I'm just sort of gonna go like this, and they might change as, how many, 1, 2, 3. Sorry, I was trying to keep track of how many I have, and they sort of change their direction a little bit. All right, so if I do that, then where I was gonna put my fin obviously doesn't work because I need more space. So I'm gonna come up here, add this fin in, checking my angle. And how far up does it go? Almost to the top, so I'm close. So it comes up here, and it curves, but it sort of comes down because this isn't as high as the other side. I think it comes down even more, like that. Whoa. Like that, and then you can, like this fin comes up here, and this is where I think you see like that bulge a little bit. Then you can add these guys on if you want, and come back and make that spiky, obviously. So then we're gonna move to the bottom fins, and if we look, this fin sort of goes to the middle of that one, and this doesn't reach it. So if I go like in the middle here, bring it down, this, bring it down, then that I know is where the middle is. And this fin comes curvy like this, and then comes down. And check my angle. All right, I was on the right track here. Like that. And again, it sort of does come up a little bit more. It's not super straight. It has that little bit of that curve a little bit. And then it comes to that angle. So now, because I had to move my fin, I'm gonna move this angle here, which isn't that big of a deal. Then I've got this other fin that's gonna be in the middle here next to the gill. This should be pretty easy. It just touches here, goes around, and comes up, right? Pretty easy. Then we've got our last two fins that are down here. One right here. This nice gentle curve, comes up, and then we've got our back one that we can see from the side. And last but not least, the eyeball. So if I go from the top of the gill over, that's where the top of the eyeball is gonna be. So if I come here, and I just sort of have to guess where it's gonna go in relationship, just make sure there's enough space and he doesn't look like his eyeballs are not where it's supposed to be. So I'm gonna do the eye right here. And then you've got the pupil on the inside. Again, this may not be perfect, and when you start to add like your scales and your other details and shading, you may have to move or modify something, but for right now, this is a great start and how you would like your fish to be.